Welcome to the DMZ. Today, everything changes. In the patch notes for Season 6, which just dropped today, we have discovered that everything that we have known for the last several months for the DMZ is going to change. Many of the requested features that we have asked for, things that have just caused us a lot of pain and irritation inside of the DMZ, have been addressed. Now, some of the adjustments that they've made are: number one, assimilation now allows a maximum of 4 players per team. That means platoons of 6 are gone. Now, you guys need to really take in what this completely means. Assimilation now allowing only a maximum of 4 players per team is going to change more than just 6-mans roaming around, and you need to be prepared. Because it's going to be a maximum of 4 players, what you have to understand is that the nature of how DMZ currently was to how it's going to be is going to be extremely different. For example, a team of 3 spawns and another team of 3 spawns at the beginning of a DMZ match. Let's say one team pushes the other, etc., and they get into a fight. One team wins, 3 people die. You can no longer force an assimilation by having all 3 people join your team into a 6-man. Only one can, and in a lot of instances, people might be playing with their friends, so realistically, it's almost as if assimilation is somewhat gone, and as if pleas are somewhat gone, because in a lot of scenarios, they're just not going to pick up any of those 3 players, which means you actually have consequences for your actions within inside of the DMZ. This is huge. I know everyone's been complaining about platoons, so I am extremely excited for an update like this. Now, I know we've all been waiting for this, and I'm extremely excited. DMZ is going to be a much better game mode moving forward, but you are going to have to adapt. You are going to have to be ready that you can't just plea and get a second chance within the DMZ. So be ready for that and be ready to make changes and play safer. Next, players can now use their own dog tags to barter in DMZ. So for those of you that were looking to get the Serpentine camo, or maybe you were just looking to use the scavenger buy station, we now have a solution that is appropriate, and that's going to make getting the Serpentine camo a lot more available, though still difficult, and it's going to allow us to actually use the scavenger buy station that was introduced last season and actually take our dog tag off ourselves and purchase some cool stuff. They also reduced the frequency of killstreaks found in loot, so hopefully the amount of UAVs and advanced UAVs throughout the game will be reduced. The next thing they hit is surviving a hunt contract now grants a UAV immediately to the hunted squad. So if somebody puts a hunt contract on me and they fail and I survive, I immediately have a UAV spread out from me, and that can be really useful because, you know, if you're having like a chase situation, you know, you're running, you're retreating, you're defending, and the time runs up, it's gonna flip the script on that hunting team and give you guys, the survivors, an advantage. So that's pretty cool. So they've also adjusted the economy within the DMZ. They've brought the munitions box from 1,000 to 5,000. They've brought the gas mask from 2,000 to 3,500, the medium backpack from 5,000 to 6,500, the large backpack from 30k to 50k, 3-plate carriers from 35k to 65k, JLTV airdrops from 18k to an enormous 75k, huge W there. And more importantly than anything, that they've gone and adjusted the price of both the UAV and the advanced UAV. UAV's gone from 12k to 100k. And advanced UAV's gone from 12k to 200k. Again, similar to the reduction in the kill streaks in loot, they're really trying to nerf UAV and advanced UAV. If you've been following me, you know I have been asking for this for so long, as these things run rampant within the DMZ. They also reduced the precision airstrike from 12k to 30k, the cluster strike from 12k to 30k, and the revive pistol from 7,500 to 10k. Now you might be wondering next, well, what new content do we have? Well, for the start of Season 6, the new content we're going to have is, you know, new weapons, being a new assault rifle, a new SMG, and new melee weapons, right? We're not getting any new maps this season, but we are going to be getting a nighttime mode. But keep in mind, nighttime is not coming until mid-season. So prepare for the hunting to come to DMZ. The hunting is just a few weeks away, and that means DMZ will be plunged into darkness. Everything featured in the hunting for Battle Royale will be available to experience in DMZ as well, including Operation Nightmare, where you'll have to face down the horrors of the hellmouth that is opened in Al Mazrah and more. So there's going to be a lot of crazy bosses within the DMZ. It sounds like it's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to have, you know, ghosts, zombies, swamp creatures, a ton of stuff. It sounds really, really fun. Now it says infill now and get some practice in with your squad. You'll need it when the hunting comes to DMZ on October 17th. So be prepared, you guys. This is going to be super, super fun. I hope you guys are as pumped as me. Now they've also done some balance changes. Any balance changes that are done for Warzone are also done for the DMZ. So for assault rifles, the Chimera has had a buff to its lower torso damage multiplier. For the FR Advancer, limb damage multipliers have been increased. So that's a buff. Now, they've gone and done us dirty, and they have actually nerfed our ISO Hemlock's neck multiplier and upper torso damage multiplier. So the Hemlock actually got nerfed again. It might not be viable anymore. We'll have to see the numbers. It might not be much. The Kastoff 7.62, which has actually been a favorite of Warzone players as of recent, has had its close damage decreased, close damage range increased, hedge damage multiplier decreased, neck damage multiplier decreased, and upper torso damage multiplier decreased. So that thing definitely got a nerf across the board. Next, they've gone and hit your guys' M13B. The close damage decreased, the close damage range decreased, the close mid damage decreased, and the mid damage decreased. So the M13B has gotten the nerf hammer down on it, so we might need to be looking for some other options. Keep out for the Tempest Razorback. The M13C, on the other hand, has actually been buffed, which is really interesting. So it's had its close damage increased and lower limb damage multipliers increased. Now, the funny thing about the M13C is it was actually already the fastest killing gun in the assault rifle category. So it may just be an absolute monster now. Take a look out and give it a try. The M16 has also been buffed for the 10th time. It's had its close damage range increased, lower torso damage multipliers increased, which is a big deal, and limb damage multipliers increased, which is also a big deal, because by increasing the damage multipliers to the lower portion of the body, when you're bursting somebody with the gun and those bullets aren't hitting exactly where you need, that's going to help with the overall time to kill and consistency of the M16, so maybe it's a hot topic now. Next, we move on to the battle rifles. The Cronin Squall has had its mid damage range decrease, so it took a little bit of a nerf. The FTAC Recon has been buffed both neck, torso, and limb, but it's probably still trash. The Lockman 7.62 has had its close damage range increased, neck multiplier increased, torso damage increased, and limb damage increased. Now, the interesting thing about this one is this gun was actually in a close range environment already incredibly strong, and they look to have just made it stronger, so that might be meta now as well. The SO14 has also had its close damage range increased, close mid damage range increased, mid damage range increased, and far damage range increased. Now, I'm really curious because that, similar to Lockman 7.62, was a good gun and looks to only be getting better. Also, for anybody that's a TAC V fan, they have buffed it after the nerfs that it received in the past, so it's had its close damage increased, close damage range increased, and close to mid damage range increased. So it might be worth picking back up again. Now, they look to have made some interesting changes to handguns, things we might need to keep our eyes out for. So the Basilisk has been buffed in close mid damage, mid far, and far. So just all around, the Basilisk got better. I don't know if this is going to apply to Akimbos. I also don't know if it's going to apply to snake shots. If so, those could be meta again. They've also gone and adjusted the FTAC Siege. The head damage multiplier decreased, lower torso damage decreased, so that's gotten a little bit of a nerf. The GS Magma, which is the full auto Desert Eagle, has had its close damage decreased, close mid increased, upper torso decreased, and limb damage decreased. So overall a nerf. Then they've gone into the P890. The P890's had its mid damage increase, far damage increase, lower torso damage increase, and limb damage increase. So buffs across the board on those. Those in Akimbo could be really good again. The X12 has had all of its damage increased as well. Could also be good. The new pistol, the 9mm Damon, has actually been nerfed, which I didn't feel like that gun was meta anyway, so that's an interesting choice, and it's probably the worst pistol. Lastly, they buffed the Desert Eagle, close, mid, and far, so that's going to be a little bit better. Next, they've made some changes to shotguns. So they've gone and adjusted the Bryson 800's close mid damage range. They've nerfed the Bryson 890 across all its damage ranges. They have buffed the Lockwood 300, also known as one of the worst guns in the game. They buffed its lower torso damage and limb damage. So if you don't land your shots in the exact upper area, you're going to get more consistency out of it. But there's actually another change that we'll go over in a second about that Lockwood 300, which could actually make this gun meta. Next, they've gone with the MX Guardian, and they've buffed its close range damage, close mid-range, mid-range, mid-far, and far. So I think they're trying to make the MX Guardian as good or better than the KV Broadside. We'll have to see the numbers. We'll probably need to check out Gumi on YouTube for that. Now, before we move on to the next set of weapons, we need to go over the Lockwood 300 change. So there's a new attachment being added to the game called the Maelstrom Dual Trigger, a cold hammer forged dual trigger that fires both rounds simultaneously with devastating results. So this new attachment, in combination with the buffs to the Lockwood 300, could actually make it insane. The real question is, will it one-shot? And don't forget about sniper rifles. They've actually gone and buffed the Karak 300. They've buffed the close mid damage range, the far damage range, lower torso, and limb damage range to make it more consistent. Maybe this thing's actually good, because when it came out last season, it was horrible. Then they've gone on with the Signal 50. The neck damage multiplier has been decreased, and the upper torso damage multiplier has been decreased. Now, in Warzone, this is actually the best sniper rifle. That's probably why they're hitting it with these nerfs in specific, and it might not be good anymore. We'll still have to give it a try. They've gone with the SPX and given it a buff to the close damage, close mid, mid damage, and upper torso damage. So they've buffed the SPX 80 all around, which is a huge W. They've then gone and made adjustments to SMGs. So the BAS-P's been buffed all around. The Fennec has also been buffed. For the majority of it, it does have its neck damage and upper torso, though, decreased. So you have to give it a try. Maybe it's a bit more consistent overall now. They've gone with the Lockman Shroud and decreased the semi-auto damage, right? So they really want this thing to be burst. They've taken the burst fire head damage, increased it, neck damage, increased it, and upper torso damage and increased it. So the Lockman Shroud might be a lot more consistent within that burst, which would be cool. And for the last changes, they've gone with the mini back and given it a mid damage increase. Maybe that makes it a bit better. The MX9 has gotten increases across the board as well, and that gun's always been really nice, so it's just gotten even better. Anyways, I hope you guys are as pumped as I am about this season. All these changes all around seem amazing, and I can't wait till we get the nighttime mode on October 17th, which isn't going to be too far away, just a couple weeks. So I'm pumped, you guys. I hope you guys are as well. Make sure to like the video, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.